And welcome to those joining this third session of today in the Florida DEP webinar series hosted by the Department's Office of Sustainable Initiatives. This next session is on the Florida Green Lodging Program, and the presenter is Sheena Chin Green, who serves as State Coordinator for the Florida Green Lodging Program. For those who missed the earlier brief instruction on participating in this session, if you look at the console at the far right hand of your screen and where it says questions, at any time during the program you can enter your questions or feel free to enter comments, anything you'd like to relay to staff, and so forth, and we will acknowledge your questions during the Q&A period following the presentation. If that console is in the way of your seeing the screen properly, then if you simply go up to the top left-hand side of the box where there's an orange box with a white arrow in it, click on that. It will move it out of the way, and then when you're ready to ask questions, simply click on it again and it will open it back up or maximize it. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the screen over to Sheena. That will take just 1 second here. And welcome, Sheena.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on today's webinar on the Florida Green Lodging Program. For today, we'll just like to talk briefly about an introduction to the Florida Green Lodging Program, a brief history, an overview of the designation process, areas of operations, and then we'll just have a Q&A session afterwards. So what is the Florida Green Lodging Program? The program is a voluntary, non-regulatory effort by the Florida DEP, and we encourage lodging industries to conserve water and energy, minimize waste generation and increase recycling, improve their indoor air quality, and implement environmentally friendly purchasing and pollution prevention strategies. The overall goal is to help the lodging industry become sustainable while lowering their operating costs. Some numbers, over 405,900 rooms are available for lodging. Of that, there are over 4,500 different types. From 2011, we had a $67.2 billion spending related to tourism. Of that total, $16.5 billion, roughly 25% went to lodging. Dining was $30.2 billion, admissions 11.1, and then there was other $9.5 billion. On average, visitors spent $128.10 in Florida per day. So some of the benefits of for implementing sustainable practices in your hospitality is increasing your triple bottom line. And what we mean by that is by the planet, you're reducing water usage, energy consumption, and waste generation. Profits, waste, they just equal loss. And then the people, companies and non-governmental organizations are requesting green meetings and conferences. As well as in the state of Florida, for any state agency, we are required to hold any meetings or conferences at a designated green lodge. So a little history, the program was launched back in 2004 as part of DEP's pollution prevention program. Our first four hotels were designated on March 10th, 2004. They were the Hilton University of Florida Conference Center, the Hyatt Regency Coconut Point Resort and Spa, Disney's Boardwalk Resort, and Disney's Coronado Springs Resort. From March 10th of 2004 to July 20th of 2007, we had a total of 25 properties that were designated.
And pardon the brief interruption, if you could lean into the mic just a little bit, or a little louder.
Okay.
Thank you.
In July 2009, the program underwent some changes programmatically, and that was pretty much not only to improve the environmental performance of the designated properties, but also to increase the overall operating efficiency and customer service aspects of the program. These changes have resulted in increased environmental protection and a streamlined program. On August 1st, 2012, we launched a partnership with Audubon International's Green Lodging Program to further recognize our top environmental performers in the state. With that partnership, pretty much that means if you're designated with the state of Florida or with Audubon International, you can just send us your application. We've streamlined so that our applications are quite similar, and we will review it and designate you, and you'll have both designations. Currently, we have 736 designated properties in the program. Some reasons for our amazing growth. Section 4 of Executive Order 07-126 required that as of January 1, 2008, state agencies and the department under the direction of the governor cannot contract for meetings or conference spaces with a hotel that has not received the Green Lodging status. So that helps with the business that you will receive being a Green Lodge. Also, Section 286.29 of the Energy, Climate Change, and Economic Security Act of 2008 stressed that the above go through House Bill 7135 and also encompass reducing greenhouse gas emissions and technologies. So, about the designation in the program. When you are designated with us, your designation is valid for 3 years. We are currently in the process of updating and renewing all of our properties. Anyone that has been in the program and you are designated prior to 2011, you must renew this year. We are granting everyone an extension until October 1 to get those documents in. And all other properties will be 3 years from your designation date. So how do you renew? To renew, you must submit environmental performance data annually. Our office will email you around February of every new year, an email that just will remind you to go ahead and submit that document, and we'll have that readily available for you. You must also complete the renewal designation application. In addition, you must implement at least 2 new environmental practices from any of our 5 areas of sustainable operations over the course of the 3 years, as well as constantly maintaining compliance with our program requirements. Compliance is also checked through random spot audits. When we say random, it pretty much just means we just randomly select a property. However, we will contact you and schedule a date and time that's best convenient for you. A Green Lodging rep will contact you to schedule the audit and discuss any necessary items that may be requested during that time. So the spot audit, the process, pretty much will begin with a brief introductory meeting. We'll look at any documentation that may be necessary, and then we'll ask for a facility walkthrough. Most properties will be notified of the audit result within 4 weeks. If you cannot or you refuse to correct any deficiencies that were noted at that time in a timely manner, you do face removal from the program. The current process for designation is we ask everyone, if you download a copy of our application, you can take that and just conduct a property assessment and then think about implementing different environmental practices in one of the 5 areas of operations: communication and education, waste reduction, reuse and recycling, water conservation, energy efficiency, indoor air quality. Once you complete the application, we also have some links to best management practices and technical assistance to help you achieve designation, and the link that you see is a link to the application. If you do require on-site assistance, we do have staff available for that as well. Currently, we do have a rating system, so once you're designated and we review your application, you get depending on your points that you achieve, you either will be designated as a 1 POM, 2 POM, 3 POM, or 4 POM property. And when we showcase you on our website, we also list what POM level you are. In most cases, the application and documentation should be submitted electronically. Once we receive that, it's usually reviewed within 2 business days. If any correction is needed, we will send you an email that outlines exactly what needs to be corrected. We'll also highlight the application, and we'll send that back to you again. And once you're complete, you just have to resubmit. If there's no corrections needed, you'll get a congratulations email, as well as we'll send you a certificate and Green Lodging collateral within a month. Right now, I'd like to go over just a few of the areas of operations that we outlined before within the application. Communication and education, this is a very big area. You want to be able to communicate your environmental efforts to your constituents. It's great great environmental benefits at your facility and where your constituents live, work, and play. So for example, if you have in-house channels at the property, you can use that to talk about what you're doing as far as the Green Lodging program, or for your guests to know to become more sustainable. We also recommend establishing a green team to evaluate and improve your environmental initiatives. And your green team, we generally suggest if you have a representative from every department, it's best that way they can go go back to their respective departments, for example, housekeeping or engineering, and share information. You should also be able to provide a way for guests and staff to allow feedback, whether that be through your surveys, suggestion box. We also have an online survey that you can also provide to your guests. Having a formal written comprehensive environmental policy, and then having a formal written purchasing policy that addresses environmental issues. Waste reduction, reuse, and recycling. We would like to see you reduce your materials at their source, recover, reuse, and then recycle. It prevents pollution and reduces and eliminates treatment and disposal costs. So for example, a big area that's a big win would be recycling. If you speak to your local area and look at the items that are currently being recycled, you should offer that to your guests as well. Recycling bins should be placed at multiple locations throughout the property. And in addition to placing the bins throughout the property, you should also consider where the bin is located in regards to your normal solid waste. It's just what we've seen through time from human nature. If they're closer together, folks will be more inclined to recycle in the appropriate bin versus if they have to walk a minimum of 5 feet, they'll probably end up throwing it in your solid waste. You should institute one of the following: bulk purchasing, reduced packaging, or manufactured take-back, and consider using reusable goods in place of disposable goods. Water conservation. The overall goal is to lessen the impact of your facility on the environment. You protect the very reason visitors come to Florida: the beautiful beaches, rivers, springs, and lakes. Simple practices are using a PM schedule to find and repair leaky faucets, toilets, and pipes, offering a towel and linen reuse program, using low-flow faucets, shower heads, or toilets, and then best management practices for timer settings to optimize your water conservation. Energy efficiency. You have the opportunity to reduce your energy use as well as cost, and make routine energy-saving choices and keep your equipment in optimum condition. Some sample practices: you can contact your local utility provider or other and have them conduct an energy assessment and then track your usage. Having a PM schedule in place to clean and maximize efficiency in appliances is really great to have as well. Consider using energy efficient lighting, whether it be LED, CFLs, T8 bulbs, as well as encouraging your guests and staff to walk, bus, and bicycle to and from the hotel, depending on your region. Indoor air quality increases your energy efficiency. It reduces exposure to health-related liabilities for your guests as well as your staff. It has positive impacts on the bottom line, and there's higher employee and guest satisfaction. Some examples are using at least 2 environmentally preferable cleaners. There are third-party sources that you can research that'll let you know if your products are environmentally friendly. For example, EcoLogo, the EPA Safer Choice Program. Using a minimum efficiency rating reporting value, MERV 8 or better filter in your main air handler units. Cleaning your air handler units and coils annually and having a PM schedule for those as well. And ensuring that ceiling tiles, wallpaper, and shower curtains or other absorbent surfaces are routinely monitored for signs of mold and replaced as necessary. So while reviewing the application, there are some common mistakes and problems we tend to find. One of the big ones is not enough supporting documentation. Within the application, if supporting documentation is needed, it is italicized next to that particular question. So we ask that you make sure you include those pictures or scanned copies of forms. You can always scan them into a separate PDF document and attach that to the email when you're sending in your application. Also, incomplete or incorrect environmental performance data. We do require 12 months of historical data for your energy, water, and waste generation. New properties, we would ask that you supply as much as you have on hand, given, whether your property was just built or how soon you were open. Some suggestions for success: obtaining buy-in from top management, establishing a green team, and constantly evaluating your environmental performance. Some available assistance for marketing: we feature every property that is designated with us on our website. We've also launched an interactive GIS map to locate properties throughout the state. You also have access to a toolkit that's just designed for designated properties. And then we also offer technical assistance via 24/7 web access, as well as webinars and workshops. And that completes the presentation on the Florida Green Lodging Program. If you have any questions, I'll answer them now.
Very good. Thank you so much, Sheena. And we will go to open the floor to questions. And let me go ahead and answer this one myself, that someone is asking if you can email a copy of your slides so that they can share it with their management team. And Sheena's slides will be made available on the website that you accessed this event through, which is leangreenlodging.com. We'll have that information at the end of the program as well. And let me turn to the next question, which is, are there any grants available for energy conservation upgrades to existing properties in Florida?
There are grants available. However, they may vary depending on your location or if it's through your particular utility provider. So I would recommend first starting off with your utility provider. Sometimes they offer rebates depending, and then checking out your local city or county. Some counties, for example, I know Miami-Dade County at one time had a program for properties that were going green. They offered a tax rebate and incentives if they install particular products. So I would first recommend just researching your local county, city, municipality, and checking with your local utility provider, because they probably know of some grants, as well as the EPA, their website, epa.gov.
And next is, we're not designated currently. Where should we start in getting designated as a Florida Green Lodge?
I would recommend start would be obtaining a copy of the application. Just to be honest, when you open it, if you just say, I put myself in your position being new, when you first look at it, it seems overwhelming because it does say 24 pages. So I would recommend printing it out and just sitting down with your team and kind of just going through it and just take a walk through and an assessment of your property. And you can check off boxes as you go from there. If you have any questions, you can always contact me via the email address or the phone numbers listed on the screen. Depending on your region, we can have staff come out and provide on-site technical assistance to walk you through the process of the application. But that would probably be the best start, because it'll give you a great baseline of where you are and what's needed on the application. Each section lets you know a minimum point percentage that you have to obtain in order to pass that category. So once you meet those points, you're able to move on. Or if you have any difficulty, you can always contact me, and I'm here to help.
And the next person asks, we'd like some examples of more innovative current Green Lodge practices.
As far as in what area? Sorry.
That wasn't specified. Perhaps
Okay.
they mean just if there's any kind of a resource that has particularly innovative options.
Yeah. We are currently working on a newsletter to send out to all of our designated properties that we'll send out quarterly, and we'll provide you with new tidbits or best practices being used at other properties. We're also going to redesign our website, and we're going to have an area for you to go and kind of see some common use tools that other properties are using that's innovative. For example, I know I visited one property, and when it came down to composting, a lot of times when someone hears composting, you think traditional, have to have a backyard or a tub and it's going to smell. This particular property, they bought a machine that actually they can compost the food waste, and it has microbes and organisms within this whole metal container, and pretty much it tracks how much they put in, and they can get a report of usage. But in the same time, the microbes break down the food so that it literally turns it into wastewater. That water then gets sent to their normal sewer waste line. So there's no real having to deal with any of the product or the mess from composting. So things of that nature, we'd like to hear from our properties that are designated if they're doing anything, but we'll also spotlight it on our website and in the newsletter and in our new BMP section that we're creating on our website.
Excellent. Next one, what is the best way to collect the data that we will need to submit to you?
If you're talking about your environmental performance data, Since we asked for a calendar year, and I considered the fact of the end of year close of business, a lot of you are already working on items that you may have to submit a report to. We're going to request in the month of February. So, for example, February 2016, you'll get an email from us requesting your environmental performance data from calendar year January to December 2015. We regularly recommend a lot of if your property uses an energy management system, it's pretty much a report you just have to generate. Normally recommend contacting your utility provider. They can provide you with your bills if you track it on a spreadsheet for your utilities, your water. Some of the waste haulers, they actually will provide you with that data as well, but it just kind of varies from company to company when it comes to waste. So for us, we also have a tool that you can use to estimate how much waste is being pulled from your property, whether it be solid waste or recycling.
Next person asks, for the Audubon subscription fee, it is quite prohibitive cost-wise. Can the cost be reduced or waived?
For Audubon, I do know we did negotiate a reduced rate. I can always, if you supply me with the email or provide it through here, and I can get back with you personally and speak with you and the update on that. We are having another meeting regarding our partnership agreement, so that's something we can rehash as well.
And to that individual, you can simply type that contact information in where you typed your question, and we thank you. Next is, if I upgrade my laundry equipment, how long will it take for a return on our investment?
Your return on investment, well, that would vary. I'm not sure on how much laundry you're doing, how large of a property you are, so it kind of depends. If you're not using it as often, you won't see it as fast. If you're a fairly large property, you can receive a return on investment. It kind of all depends on the system you're putting in place. It could be as small as 6 months, it could be a year, or maybe even more, but there will be a return on that investment. And then not just in your water savings, you can also consider, if you're installing new equipment, the cleaners that you're using. So maybe you can talk to your supplier about the chemicals they're going to provide. Maybe you don't need as much. Maybe more than one could be used for a particular, hot water setting, cold water setting. So it would vary depending on the machine that you'd be reinstalling into your laundry facility. And then also, are you capturing any heat? You can also think outside the box of the heat that it generates. Is there a way for you to capture that heat and use it in another operation? And then you'll have an additional savings as well.
And at this point, we have one more question. So if anyone else wants to submit a question, you do still have time to do so. And the question that we have right now is, are there tools available for lodges to use in calculating energy savings that come from installing updated equipment like air conditioning, lighting, and water-saving devices?
Yes, there are tools out there on the EPA.gov. They have a lot of tools that are EPA calculators per se, and they'll help you calculate that information for you to share with your management team or your staff or your guest that's visiting the property. And I can easily send out an email blast to everyone that's participated today with that follow-up information as well, with the clear link, so you don't have to kind of search around and find it.
And you did have quite a bit of information on your slides. So again, to remind folks that Sheena's slides will be available through the website, so you can look back through there and kind of reabsorb some of that detail. But let me go ahead and ask Sheena, before we go to break, is there anything else you'd like to add in the meantime?
Just want to tell everyone thank you for participating, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I travel the state quite often, almost daily, so if I'm in your area, it's not difficult for me to stop by your property and we just have a face-to-face and sit down and assist you with the process, whether it be new designation or renewal or upgrades or going to the next palm level.
Terrific. Well, we will now go ahead and have a short break before our next program, and thank everyone who attended the Green Lodging session. We're delighted that you could be here. And at 3 o'clock, we will have a session on Florida's clean and resilient marinas. So we hope to see the marina folks back then, and thank you again for being with us. And thank you, Sheena.